So, friends, today we are going to talk about the yoga of Buddhism. Everyone knows that this spiritual tradition was founded by Gautama Buddha. His another name is Shakyamuni. He was also Prince Siddhartha. He gave to people teachings about a spiritual path leading to the ultimate goal, to full perfection, to completion of one's personal evolution through mergence with the primordial consciousness. Such mergence is called nirvana. Unfortunately, as it happens to all true spiritual traditions, which originate from God, Buddhism was perverted by people. What is the reason for this? Why does it happen? Because always there appear powerful leaders, most often they are very coarse, devilish by their energetical features, who develop their own opinions about the spiritual path. Such a leader usually requires from the followers to worship him, to pay him for teaching.
И вот так образуются различные секты.
In this way, sects are formed.
Подробнее об
We
этом
discussed
мы
this phenomenon
в
in
нашей книге
detail
«Духовное
in the
сердце.
book Spiritual Heart,
Религия
The
единства».
Religion of Unity.
Это характерно
It
для
is
всех
typical of
религиозных
all
направлений.
widespread religious movements.
И в таких сектах
In
учение
such sects,
Бога
the
может
original
искажаться
teachings
вплоть
of
до
God
противоположности.
can be perverted to the opposite.
И эти секты,
And
что характерно для
such
сектантства,
sects,
часто начинают
claiming
подминать
that
тех
they are
других,
the only bearers of the truth,
провозглашают только себя
begin
носителями
to
абсолютной истины.
subjugate all others.
Почему такого рода секты
Why
к
they
себе
can
привлекают
attract
большое количество, иногда огромное количество
large masses of
сторонников,
followers?
адептов? Потому что в них узаконивается как бы от имени святых божественных авторитетов,
Because in these sects,
узакониваются
some
пороки,
human vices,
такие как
such as
чревоугодие,
gluttony, aggressiveness, and others, become legitimized on behalf of holy divine masters.
И вот в буддизме мы видим то явление,
In
например,
Buddhism, we see
что произошел в ряде сект полный
that
отказ
some sects
от
even deny
убежденности в том, что
the
существует
very
изначальное сознание
existence of
вообще.
the primordial consciousness.
Изначальное сознание
The
или Бог
primordial
в аспекте
consciousness,
Творца
or God in the aspect of the Creator,
оказалось вытесненным полностью из мировоззрения
is
людей,
denied by
которые
people
считают себя
who
людьми
consider
религиозными.
themselves religious.
Удивительный парадокс.
A striking paradox.
И практика в
The
таких
practice in
сектах
these sects
может выглядеть как
may
просто
look
чудачество,
absurd.
но типа того, что нужно
For
умышленно
example, it may
гнусавыми
include
голосами
singing
из аджны,
with a
головной
nasal
чакры,
voice
ныть
different
разные мантры,
mantras from the head chakra ajna.
или религиозная практика
In some
сводится
sects, the
охранной
religious
магии,
practice is reduced to guard magic,
вплоть до превращения в секты черной
up to
магии,
using even black magic.
где активно в союзники привлекаются так называемые
They
гневные
appeal
божества,
for support to so-called wrathful
То есть,
deities,
по сути, это
but in reality these are
вовсе
not
не божества,
deities,
а
but
представители ада,
representatives of hell,
дьявольские души.
devilish souls.
Но сейчас мы будем говорить
We
не
are
об
not
этом.
going to discuss now
Сейчас
all
мы
such
рассмотрим
perversions.
то,
Let us talk
как учение
about how
было
these
создано
teachings
самим Гаутамой
were
Буддой,
created by Gautama
и
Buddha
о том, как
and how
функционировали истинные
true
школы
schools of
буддизма.
Buddhism worked.
Начнем с заповедей, оставленных
Let us
Гаутамой
start
Буддой.
with precepts given by the founder of Buddhism, Gautama Buddha.
Прими заповедь
Take
воздержания
the
от
precept
убийства.
to abstain from killing.
Прими заповедь
Take
воздержания
the
от
precept
воровства.
to abstain from stealing.
Прими заповедь воздержания
Take
от
the
прелюбодеяния,
precept to abstain
то есть
from
от
adultery.
избыточной
That
увлеченности.
is from being
сексуальностью.
obsessed with sex.
Прими заповедь
Take the
воздержания
precept
от
to
лжи.
abstain from lying.
Прими заповедь
Take
воздержания
the
от
precept
спиртных
to
напитков.
abstain from liquor.
И неужели у тебя никогда не возникала
And
мысль,
did
что
the
ты
thought
также
never
подвержен
occur to
старению,
you that you also are
что и
subject
ты не
to
сможешь
decay,
избегнуть его?
that you also cannot escape it?
И неужели к тебе никогда не
And
приходила
did the
мысль,
thought
что ты
never
также
occur
подвержен
to you
болезни,
that you also are
что и
subject
ты
to
не
disease,
сможешь избегнуть
that you
их?
also cannot escape it?
И неужели к тебе никогда не
And did
приходила
the
мысль,
thought
что ты
never
также
occur to
подвержен
you that
смерти,
you also are subject
что
to
и ты не
death,
сможешь
that you
избегнуть ее?
also cannot escape it?
Не ради моего собственного
Not
благополучия
for the sake of my
я
own
практикую
well-being, I practice
доброжелательность ко
universal
всем.
benevolence,
Но мое желание
but it is my
содействовать
desire
счастью
to
живых существ,
contribute to the happiness of living beings.
вот это каждый должен принять как
This
кредо для
has to
себя.
become a credo for everyone.
Не причиняй другому того, что могло бы явиться
Do not
причиной
do
и
to
твоего
others what
страдания.
would make you suffer if done to you.
Вот прямая параллель с тем,
It is
чему
the
учил
same
Иисус.
as the precept
Не
of
делай
Jesus.
другому того, чего не
Do
желаешь
not
себе.
do to others what you don't want to be done to yourself.
Доброжелательность ко всем существам – вот
Goodwill
истинная
toward
религиозность.
all beings is the true religion.
Доброжелательность, желание добра.
Goodwill means wishing well to others,
И не только в мыслях,
not
но и
only
в
in
эмоциях, в
thoughts,
делах.
but also in emotions and deeds.
Лелейте в ваших сердцах
Cherish in your
безграничную
hearts
доброжелательность ко всему
boundless
сущему.
goodwill toward all that lives.
В сердцах имейте это
Have
состояние.
this state in your hearts.
О чем здесь речь идет?
What
О
does it
развитии
mean?
духовного сердца,
It concerns development of the spiritual
в
heart,
котором только и могут возникать такие
where
эмоциональные
these
состояния.
states occur.
Это есть путь, которым прошел сам
This is
Гаутама
the
Будда до
path
совершенства.
that Gautama Buddha traversed,
И это главная линия
and this is the main direction of the psychoenergetical work suggested by him for us.
Я еще раз
Let
повторю
me
эту
repeat
цитату.
this precept once again.
Лелейте в ваших сердцах
Cherish in your hearts
безграничную доброжелательность
boundless
ко всему
goodwill
сущему.
toward all that lives.
Дальше. Вы не должны
You
волноваться,
must not
злое слово не
worry,
должно срываться с
you
ваших
must
губ.
not say evil words,
Вы должны оставаться доброжелательными,
you
с
must
чистым
remain
сердцем, полным
benevolent,
любви,
with pure loving hearts,
не содержащим тайной злобы.
thinking no evil.
И даже недоброжелатели вы должны охватить мыслями
And
любящими
even your enemies you have to embrace with loving thoughts,
и безграничными,
generous thoughts,
очищенными
deep and
от всякого
boundless
гнева и
thoughts,
ненависти.
purified from anger and hatred.
Вот можно проследить очень четкую параллель с заповедями Нового Завета.
Similar precepts are given in the New Testament.
Отличительными признаками истинной религии
The
являются
distinctive signs of
доброжелательность,
true religion are goodwill,
чистота,
love,
благородство,
truthfulness, purity,
доброта.
nobility of feeling and kindness.
Вот каждый может сейчас проверить себя,
Everyone can test themselves now.
таковы ли мы,
Do
если
we
мы
comply
считаем себя
with this
стоящими на
rule
пути религии.
if we believe that we walk religious path?
Бессмертие может быть достигнуто только
Immortality can be
непрерывными
reached
деяниями
only by
доброты.
continuous acts of kindness.
Совершенство достигается
Perfection
состраданием и
is accomplished
милосердием.
by compassion and charity.
Что такое бессмертие?
What is immortality in this case?
Бессмертие — это слияние
Immortality
с
is
бессмертным,
mergence
вечным и бесконечным
with
изначальным
the
сознанием.
eternal and infinite primordial consciousness.
Вот это главное значение
This
слова
is the
«бессмертие».
main meaning of the word immortality.
Самое необходимое — это любящее сердце.
That which is most needed is a loving heart.
Меня ненавидят, меня не
I am
понимают и
being
обманывают
hated,
другие.
mistrusted,
Тот,
misunderstood,
кто
and
хранит в
deceived
своем
by
уме
others.
такие
He
мысли,
who harbors such
никогда не
thoughts in
сможет стать
his mind
свободным
can never
от
become
причин,
free from the causes
вызывающих
which inflict
саморазрушение.
their destructiveness upon the thinker.
Какой бы вред один враг не сделал другому, или один
Whatever
ненавидящий
harm one
другому,
may do to another,
дурно направленный ум
the evil
может
thinking
причинить
mind
вред самому
inflicts
человеку
even
еще
greater
больше.
harm upon its owner.
Зло рождается от самости.
Evil is born of the selfhood.
Что такое самость? Это
What is
выпирающее
selfhood? It is
низшее
the
я,
inflated
эгоцентризм
lower
человека.
self, egocentrism of man.
Итак, зло рождается от
So,
самости.
evil is born of the
В
selfhood,
самости его
and
причина.
in the selfhood is its cause.
Но зло шлифует
But evil
Вселенную как
polishes
алмаз.
the universe like a diamond.
Я учу вас
I
избегать
teach you
10
to
пороков.
avoid the 10 evils.
Не убивайте,
Kill
но
not,
имейте
but
почтение
have
к
regard
жизни.
for life.
Не
Steal not,
крадите,
neither
но
do you
помогайте
rob,
каждому
but
быть
help
хозяином
everybody
плодов
to be
его
master
труда.
of the fruits of their labor.
Воздерживайтесь от нечистоты.
Abstain from
Ведите
impurity and
беспорочную
lead a
жизнь.
life of chastity.
Не лгите, но
Lie
будьте
not, but
правдивы.
be truthful.
Говорите правду
Speak
благоразумно,
the truth
бесстрастно
with
и
discretion,
с любящим
fearlessly,
сердцем.
and with a loving heart.
Не выдумывайте ложных
Invent
слухов
not evil
и
reports,
не
neither
повторяйте
do
их.
you repeat them.
Не критикуйте, но обращайте
Carp
внимание
not,
на хорошие
but
стороны
look for
ближних,
the good sides
так,
of
чтобы
your
вы могли
fellow
с
beings,
искренностью
so that you may
защитить
with
их
sincerity
от их
defend
врагов.
them against their enemies.
Не ругайтесь, но
Swear
говорите
not,
скромно
but
и с
speak
достоинством.
decently and with dignity.
Не тратьте время на болтовню.
Waste not
Или
the time in
говорите, не
gossip,
отклоняясь от темы,
but keep to the
или
purpose
сохраняйте
or keep
молчание.
silence.
Не домогайтесь чужого
Covet not,
и не завидуйте,
no envy,
но радуйтесь
but
удачам
rejoice
других
at
людей.
the fortunes of others.
Очищайтесь
Cleanse
от
yourself
злобы
of
и не
malice
имейте ненависти даже к
Harbor
своим
no
врагам.
hatred, even against your enemies,
Относитесь с добротой ко всем
but
живым
embrace all
существам.
living beings with kindness.
Освобождайте
Free the
ум
mind
от
of
неведения
ignorance
и
and
старайтесь
be
узнать
anxious
истину,
to learn the truth,
особенно о том, о
especially
чем
in the
знать
one thing
необходимо,
which
чтобы
is
вам не
needed,
стать жертвой
lest
ни
you fall a prey
скептицизма, ни
either to
заблуждений.
skepticism or to errors.
Пусть же никто не
Let no
обманывает
one
другого,
deceive another.
пусть никто не
Let no
презирает
one
другого,
despise another.
пусть никто из
Let no
гнева
one
или
wish to
обиды
harm
не
another
желает вреда
out of anger
другому.
or resentment.
Не
Do
убивай,
not kill.
не
Do
кради,
not
не
steal.
совершай
Do not
прелюбодеяния,
commit adultery.
не лги,
Do not
не
tell lies.
злословь,
Do not
не
slander.
говори
Do
грубо,
not
не
speak
занимайся
harshly.
праздными
Do
разговорами,
not
не
engage in
домогайся
idle
чужой
talks.
собственности,
Do not
не
covet
проявляй
others' property.
ненависти.
Do not show
Мысли
hatred.
праведно.
Think righteously.
А вот что говорил лично нам сам
And this is what Gautama Buddha told us. The true foundation of the entire universe is love. He who wants to know the primal essence of all things must be full of love, first and foremost. The opposite of love is disregard toward others and self-conceit. It is love that endows man with the eyes which can perceive the truth. Love for all living beings helped me to find the way. Without such love, man can only wander about in the darkness of illusions. Let this love illuminate the way of every seeker of the truth. Let me comment that the same is taught by Jesus Christ and by all spiritual divine teachers. How can one do this? How can one develop love? We described in our books and in our other conversations that one can do it through development of the spiritual heart. Gautama Buddha says here about this. And we should follow this teaching. If you consider yourself Buddhist, then do this rather than something else. To follow the path described by Gautama Buddha means to develop oneself as love through the development of the spiritual heart. I continue. My purpose in the last incarnation was to bring to people the state of total freedom from the shackles of the material world, to reveal to them that there is liberation, that it is really possible. Again, let me explain. How can one become free from the fetters of matter, from the bondage to the elements of the creation? One can do it only by exiting from the creation to the creator, to the primordial consciousness in terms of Buddhism. We asked, what are the distinctive features of your path? He replied, it is the path of realizing that all we, in our very essence, are potentially completely free. Potentially. I cognized this freedom in the depths of myself, that is, in the depths of the spiritual heart. One has to become a giant spiritual heart, and then in the depths of oneself, one can find the primordial consciousness. This is achieved not in the physical heart, not in the spiritual heart which resides in the chest of the body, but in the spiritual heart which has become giant. In Buddhism there is a concept of Dharmakaya. One begins to develop Dharmakaya by learning to exit from the chakra anahata to subtle worlds and becoming a giant spiritual heart. We described in detail in our books and films how one can do this. We traversed this path and know very well how to realize this task. You can learn this knowledge from us. I cognized, says Gautama Buddha, that in my deepest essence I am not bound by anything happening in the world of matter. This is a description of the state of being a part of the primordial consciousness. It is this truth that I wanted to convey to people, that in their very essence they are free, and that this freedom is by far more valuable than any property in the material world. Thus, there is no reason to fight with each other, to envy others, to be jealous. Everyone possesses the most priceless treasure from the very birth. One needs just to discover it. Then he continued with conversation when we were in a tent during the rain. He said, "It's raining, but this is not a problem. Rain is a good time for meditation. I like to meditate in the rain. You just need to spread the consciousness with the rain in the space around your body and feel every falling raindrop by coming from the other side beneath it." Let us note the last words. From other side means from the side of the Creator, from the side of the primordial consciousness. And the straight way to realization of this meditation is to dive into the depths of oneself, into the depths of the developed spiritual heart. In this way, we can exit from the creation to the Creator, and from within Him we can perceive the material world from the other side. In this meditation, you can feel the difference between me and an ordinary soul. An ordinary embodied soul experiences itself living only in its body. But I experience myself living in everything that happens, in every sway of the grass, in every rustle of the leaves, in every falling drop of the rain. What does Gautama Buddha mean here? He says here about emergence not with the primordial consciousness only, but with the entire Absolute. This is the next stage of the maximal program, so to say. The minimal evolutionary program is to attain nirvana in emergence with the primordial consciousness. And then from this state one can come to a higher stage, to emergence both with the Creator and with the creation. And through this, one gains the ability to control the processes taking place in the creation. Also to control the matter of one's own body. Everyone who began spiritual search deserves to be helped. Everyone walking the path receives our help, even if his or her path is not straight yet. Yes, incarnate people forget many things when the knowledge is imparted through centuries. To keep the purity of the teachings and at the same time to make them comprehensible to many is a very difficult task. Only few managed to realize it. Every avatar coming to the earth makes every effort to realize this goal, initiating into the higher knowledge everyone capable of comprehending it, giving the basics of the laws of morality to all people, so that they may walk the path of light. We asked, why God, as the purpose of the search of every soul, was not the main theme of your preaching? He answered, when I just started my own spiritual search, I sought the higher justice, sought the possibility to liberate people from suffering. I loved people and wanted to help them. I was born into a royal family and was destined to become a ruler. I was kind and just. Soon I would have the entire power in the country. Yet I saw that my justice and power could not defeat suffering, diseases, death, which are unavoidable for all incarnate people. I started my spiritual travel and sought the meaning, the reason why man, born into this world, has to undergo pain, calamities, and death. I sought the answers from hermits and sages. I sought the answers myself, exploring the depths of the soul, going deeper and deeper into meditation. And I found the answers. I saw many worlds, that is, locus of the multidimensional space. I saw the laws of karma, which determine the reasons for birth and death, suffering and happiness occurring in every earthly life. I found the ways of how to overcome the suffering through transformation of oneself, transformation of one's own attitude toward the world and toward the souls living in it. I found the great freedom. I sought this not for myself. I wanted to give the possibility of conscious living, the path of liberation, to all people. I walked the path where the ego disappears and becomes emptiness. This is the state of Nirodhi. And when this happens on the deepest, subtlest plane of the multidimensionality, then there remains the only existing eternal consciousness, the universal primordial consciousness. And then, at the moment when the I disappears, one becomes an integral part of the only existing being. This is what I called the liberation. This is what the nirvana is. In this state, the higher self of the soul is aware that it is one with the primordial consciousness. The Diamond Sutra is about this. We asked, it follows from your words that you rediscovered anew everything that Krishna taught. The fundamentals of this knowledge had been expounded in the Bhagavad Gita far before your last incarnation. How could it be that you, a member of a royal family, were not familiar with the teachings of Krishna? He answered, India at that time was not a united country. On that territory there were several kingdoms or principalities. There was not even a common language. Mass book printing, mass media appeared much later. Moreover, my parents and tutors protected me from the higher spiritual knowledge. Yes, I and many people around me did not know the teachings of Krishna. Therefore, I had to rediscover everything myself, guided by the non-incarnate higher consciousness. If I had attained the emergence with the primordial consciousness through the Bhagavad Gita, then Krishna would have been my teacher. Then his words, his precepts would have appeared in my message to people. Yet it often happens that the eternal truth has to be rediscovered again and again. And I cognized many great divine souls only when I came close to the threshold after which there is no separateness. This threshold is the abode of the Creator, because in the Creator there is no separateness. One can be separate only in the creation. In India at that time, for many people, the knowledge about the truth brought by Krishna was superseded with the rituals of worshipping mythical gods, rituals and ceremonies substituted for the truth. You may see the same problem at present, by the way. Yes, I sought the path myself and tried to tell people once more that they have to live according to the laws of non-harming and giving love. That they have to make their way to the freedom not through praying, but through a righteous life and meditations. It is not enough just to master entering nirvana. Many of your students cognized the nirvanic states, but by their wrong decisions or actions originating from the personal I, they brought themselves back to the circles of destinies and incarnations to begin seeking the unity again in the future. Their future path will be easier because they had knowledge about the truth. But the unity with the primordial consciousness has to become one's essence, one's beingness. The individual self must be fully replaced with the divine self. I not just achieved the state of nirvana for a short moment. I replaced the personal self with the united higher self.
постигнув высшее, я теперь именно так
And
жил
since
и
then
мыслил.
I lived thus.
И несмотря на то, что еще
I
имел
still lived
материальную
in a
оболочку
material
тела,
body,
я стал абсолютно свободен,
but I became
ибо
absolutely free,
индивидуальный ум был
because
заменен
the individual
божественным
mind
сознанием.
was replaced with the divine consciousness.
Есть несколько
There
стадий
are several
покорения ума,
stages of
о чем
conquering
писал
the
и
mind,
Владимир
which
в своих
Vladimir
книгах.
too described in his books.
Первое – научиться внутренней
First,
тишине,
to master inner quietness,
заставить ум
to
замолчать.
make the mind silent.
Это, конечно,
One
достигается
achieves
именно через
this by
погружение
moving
в
the
духовное
consciousness
сердце.
into the spiritual heart.
Вторая стадия
Second,
– научиться
to
сливаться
learn to
индивидуальным
merge
сознанием
oneself
с
as a
божественным
consciousness
сознанием.
with the divine consciousness.
Третье –
Third,
когда мышление
when one's
индивидуума
thinking
переносится в
is moved
единое
into the
изначальное
united
сознание,
primordial consciousness,
единое «я»
into
или
the
«мы».
united we.
Мы спросили,
We asked,
скажи, медитация
tell us,
крест
please, what's the
Будды
meditation
тобой
cross
подарена?
of Buddha
Не
gifted by
совсем
you?
так, но в ней
No, but
реализация
it
моих
presents
идей
a realization
духовного
of my
пути.
ideas concerning
И
the
каждый, кто,
spiritual path.
исполняя эту медитацию,
Everyone
пригласит
who
меня
invites me
в
into
свое
the
духовное
spiritual
сердце,
heart when
получит
performing
мою
this
помощь.
meditation receives
Ведь
my
главное
help.
– это выбрать любовь
Everyone has to
своим
choose love
руководящим
as their
жизненным
main
принципом.
guiding principle in life.
Но не любовь к себе,
It must be
а
not
любовь,
love for
направленную от
oneself,
себя
but love
ко всем
directed
живым
from
существам,
oneself to all living
воплощенным на
beings,
земле и
incarnate and
невоплощенным.
non-incarnate.
Все вокруг наполнено
Everything is
жизнью,
filled
все
with life.
развивается благодаря
Everything
любви,
develops thanks to
независимо от
love,
того, знаем мы об этом
regardless
или нет.
of whether one knows
И
about
не
it or
мудро
not.
было бы
And
каждому
it would be unwise
отворачиваться
to
от
turn
этого
away from
знания,
this knowledge
когда
when it
оно
knocks
стучится
at
в дверь.
your door.
И вот с чего начать
So, what
можно.
can one start with?
Начать
It's
очень
very
важно
important to start
с ощущения
with
чакры анахаты.
feeling the chakra anahata.
И вот для этого существует
There is
специальный
a special
прием.
method for this purpose.
Пожелание
The method
добра, всех
of
благ
wishing well
из
from
этой
this
чакры.
chakra.
Есть еще название
This
этого
exercise is
упражнения
called
крест Будды.
Cross of Buddha.
Вот мы ощущаем
First,
свою грудную
feel
клетку
the chest of the body.
внутри тела. Постараемся
Try
ощутить
to
себя
feel yourself
внутри нее,
inside the chest
просто перемещая
by
концентрацию
moving the
сознания
concentration of the
внутри
consciousness
собственного
within
тела.
the body.
И
And
посылаем
then
вперед
send
волну
waves
своей
of
любви,
love from the
в виде
chest,
волны своей любви в виде
waves of
чуть
love
разных
as
компонентов,
different components,
составляющих
different
любви.
variations of love.
Да будут все существа мирны,
May all beings have peace.
да будут все
May
существа
all beings
спокойны,
be calm.
да будут
May
все
all
существа
beings
блаженны.
feel bliss.
Мы
We
создаем
create
каждое из
each
этих
of these
состояний
states one
своей
after
грудной
another,
клетки
peace, calm, and bliss
излучаем
in
их.
the chest of the body and radiate them forward.
Но потом посылаем такую же волну
Then we
любви
send these
направо.
waves to the right.
Да будут все
May all
существа
beings
мирны,
have peace.
да будут все существа
May all beings be
спокойны,
calm.
да будут все существа
May all beings
блаженны.
feel bliss
Назад,
backward.
да будут все существа
May all beings
мирны,
have peace.
да будут все существа
May all beings
спокойны,
be calm.
да будут все существа
May all beings
блаженны.
feel bliss.
Налево,
To the left,
да будут все существа
may
мирны,
all beings have peace.
да будут все существа
May all beings
спокойны,
be calm.
да будут все существа
May all beings
блаженны.
feel bliss.
Теперь вверх,
Now upward
из грудной
from
клетки,
the
из чакры
chest,
анахаты.
from the anahata chakra.
Да будут все существа
May all
мирны,
beings have peace.
да будут все существа
May all beings be
спокойны,
calm.
да будут все
May
существа
all beings feel
блаженны.
bliss.
И вниз,
And now down.
да будут все существа
May all beings
мирны,
have peace.
да будут все
May
существа
all beings be
спокойны,
calm.
да будут все
May all
существа
beings feel
блаженны.
bliss.
Потом можно
Then
одновременно во
one
все
can do
стороны
it to all
же самое
sides
делать.
at the same time.
И по мере
As we
тренировки, день
practice
за днем,
this
неделя за
meditation
неделей,
day after
этого
day,
упражнения,
week after
мы
week,
будем сами ощущать, как
we
волны,
will feel how
энергетические
the
волны наших
energy
эмоций,
waves of
нашей
our
любви
love
будут
will
распространяться все
spread
дальше и дальше,
farther and farther
вплоть до
up
космического
to the
пространства,
cosmic space
далеко за пределами
far
нашей
outside
планеты.
our planet.